is Nina and I am the Roedde House summer student, and welcome to the next installation of What's Cooking Wednesday. Today I'm here back again in the Roedde House kitchen with our lovely heritage stove, and I'll be talking to you all about baking in the Victorian and Edwardian eras. As you can see, I just took some cookies out of our oven. These are called Scottish Fancies. They're made using a recipe from about 1908. I didn't actually cook them in the oven. Unfortunately, you cannot make full-on recipes with this anymore, but I thought it would be a fun little prop to start out this video. Now this oven here is pretty cool because it burns both wood and coal, and when you were using it you could choose which form of fuel you were going to use by flipping this little switch here, which is a bit finicky now because the metal is very stiff, so I'm not going to do it because it's going to make a horrible noise. But anyhow, once you had done this setting, you could put your fuel, not in there, but in here. Just drop it in here. And then when you were done cooking, you could later go down here and clean out the ashes from the oven. Then whatever you happen to be cooking could either go in the oven here, in the warming oven all the way down here, which would be less hot, but would maintain a nice consistent temperature, say if you were, reheating some leftovers. Or you could cook food up here on the stovetop where I've got all of these fun little props. In this kitchen, unlike some of our modern stoves, this stove was really designed with a cook in mind, and I think that's just lovely. It has all these fun little extra gadgets like, one second, this shelving space up here that's conveniently right above the space where you would be cooking. It has a little secret shelf out in the back here. I don't know if any of you can see that. Give me 1 second. Little bonus shelf right here if you need to put like one bowl on standby when you're cooking. And it has a special spot where your irons can live. Remember last week we were talking about wash day and how there would be a whole day dedicated to doing the ironing. You would keep your... There's a wide variety of recipes in your average Victorian or Edwardian cookbook, but most of them have one thing in common. They always give you at least a few pages of bread recipes. You can see here in the Five Roses cookbook, this one's a little later, it's from 1915, I believe, or 1911. Sometime in that sort of late Edwardian period, it even gives you some handy little pictures to show you off what your bread is going to look like. I've got a couple of exciting bread making tools here with me right now. Behind me, this is actually, it looks like a table, but it's actually a dough box, which would have been used for proofing your bread dough, letting it sit and rise. And it's right by the oven, so you can keep that dough in a nice warm place and have all of the yeast doing its yeast magic properly. This exciting sort of bucket-like gadget here is an ancestor of something some of you might have in your kitchens now. This is a bread maker, quite an early model. And the way it more or less works is that you can put your ingredients in here and mix them all together. Just gonna put my other glove on, give me 1 second. And you can turn this handle and it's got, I don't know if you can see, but it has this sort of like hook thing in it that's really not that different from some of the attachments that you could put on a modern day electric mixer. You could think of this as an ancestor to the sort of like cake mixer or stand beater that a lot of you have in your kitchens now if you happen to be baking fanatics like me. What makes this bread maker especially interesting is that it doesn't come with an owner's manual, but you don't have to use detective work to figure out how it works. The lid here, can you see it's got text on it? Those are instructions on how to bake bread, complete with little timing instructions for, it says how long you have to turn this crank for. It recommends 3 minutes. It lets this, you can let your bread rise in this pan, so you could probably put this in the proofing oven. The little lid here, there's a latch here that you could fit this inside. The crank might be too big, but you get the picture. And then you can have this little thing, and it does most of the bread making work for you, and you don't have to be doing all the kneading and stirring by hand. Quite a cool little labor saving device.